Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I believe we had Piyush who was talking about that the pre-lunch session was most difficult, but I think this is much more difficult because I can see dreadful, drowsy faces here. So let's see if I can keep you guys awake. So Abraham Lincoln, he started and he coined this this famous phrase on democracy, where he said that democracy of a government is for people, by people, and about people. I think the democratization of the data which happened with the internet revolution, I think it is more, if not more, at least it is equally apt for internet to work. And the internet which we are used to of using is all about for people, by people, about people. Why I say that is the data which we use, the image, the video, the commerce which we conduct, it's all about people. However, since out here we are going to talk about the new kid on the block, not so new kid because it's been there from 1999 and now it's picking up, this Internet of Things. And it is just extending the interdependence of humans to, interact, collaborate, and control things. Now, things could be anything. It could be goods, it could be vehicle, it could be this laptop, this chair, and so on and so forth. And it definitely includes us, people, right? So we're going to talk about these things and more to do with the use cases from retail perspective and the real retail use cases which I have done in my organization. So basically, I look after IT for virtuous retail, which is into malls, hotels, and co-working offices across the country. So we'll look into those cases where we have deployed the IoT as such. Okay, so we have some lovely ladies. Looks like we have a promising future for Internet of Things as well. Okay. I would like to illustrate, this afternoon four buckets where I think IoT is actually adding value, and it'll make sense when I actually talk about the use cases which we have deployed in our organization. So let's start with the first one, which is monitor. While I start, I think I'll step back. 2008, when this inflection point of Internet of Things happened. Have you ever tried doing something like this? Where the hell are my keys? Has Google responded to this? Probably it fails, right? Okay. This is still easy. Okay, you can start searching, scouting. You have some time. You will try it out. Let's try this. Where is my kid? Now, how do I search that? How would Google respond? Would Google respond? I hope Sundar Pichai is not listening. They'll do this as well, by the way. So the point is, things can be monitored. Things can be monitored. That is the key. And this is what Internet of Things can bring in, right? So as long as we presume that it's connected means all the architecture, whatever we have been seeing since morning, I am presuming that we have connected the things, and things include kids, keys, and anything and everything we have, and we can monitor these things. Now, classic example, kid is separate. I mean, don't try with girlfriends. Obviously, Google and Facebook will throw up past, future, and everything. So suppose I'm a heart patient and, my heartbeats need to be monitored. It's a simple use case, and it can be definitely, and it is being done as we talk. So monitoring is something which is one of the drivers for IoT picking up. In terms of managing, it's like, if you are able to monitor, you can take conscious reactions. Like, if you find that there is a pollution, sensor which is throwing out numbers which are not good for your health, probably you'll avoid that city. And probably if there is a congestion in a particular road, you'll start avoiding it. So you start reacting. You're not controlling pollution. You're not controlling the traffic, but you are trying to avoid it by virtue of the information which you have collected. So that's management of information which we collect. In terms of controls, yes, if the communication is bidirectional, it is when you actually start controlling things. Like, you find that the temperature inside this room seems to be pretty cold. I wish we had this IoT where we said, okay, we should just increase the temperature because it's pretty cold here. So that's where you start controlling things as well, right? We are in an era where cities are like 50% of the population is into cities, and then cities are becoming mega cities now. Now, we definitely need to look into the energy management holistically, which is what someone in the morning who was talking about. I think it makes a lot of genuine use case for us to look into controlling things as much as we can and leverage the renewable sources rather than anything else. So, in terms of classic example of smart metering, which was probably demonstrated very briefly, imagine if the grid decides, the electric grid decides with the help of smart meters as to when you switch on your AC, when you switch on your washing machine, things will change, things will become smarter, things will improvise from the planet perspective, and that's something which we should all look forward for. Gaming is pretty big in internet as of now. I mean, we all know gaming has been big, and with Internet of Things, gaming will definitely become bigger. We have seen how successful Pokemon Go was. It was an augmented reality, but of course, with the help of mobile or the interface, which is Internet of Things, which works, layer is another one. So the prospects of gaming would become fairly prominent with IoT coming into play. While before I start into the use cases which are specific to the retail industry and more to do with what we do, I'll just quickly run you through a potential utopia and something how an IoT can work. Audio, please.
With the Internet of Things, cities are becoming smarter, engaging citizens, and reinventing themselves. Connecting everything from Wi-Fi hotspots to mass transit to emergency alerts. City planners are creating better and safer places for people to live and work. By integrating technology and driving innovation, AT&T is helping city officials reduce operational costs, increase sustainability, and plan for long-term growth. Now with smart lighting, a lamppost equipped with sensors and connectivity can remotely monitor for everything from air quality to public safety. In transportation, smart programs can alert drivers in real time about traffic delays, synchronize lights for emergency vehicles, and suggest alternative routes to keep traffic running smoothly. In communities with aging infrastructure, maintaining water pipes is critical. So now, with acoustic sensors, cities can easily detect exact locations of water leaks, making repairs more cost-effective. A leader in smart city innovations, AT&T has the experience of managing large, complex city projects. Combined with real-time analytics, a strong ecosystem, and a global network, we are bringing the power of the Internet of Things to make cities smarter.
All right. So I said the utopia is something like everything, and literally everything can be made smart, and that's something which we should all aspire to, as long as it makes business sense. And if it makes business sense, we should start working in that direction, because the costs and implications will anyway come down. Let's look into the implications. Let's look at the use cases where IoT is being currently used or potentially being piloted to be put in use. This is something which we tried doing it. Beacons were put across the entire shopping center, and we wanted to do this proximity marketing. For some reason, proximity marketing 3-4 years back, it did not work well because people were not downloading apps. But but the use case doesn't die there, because there are a lot of genuine reason for people to actually start making sense of all the tailor-made proximity-based the marketing which is being done. So it can also help us generating heat map or part to purchase, which is like the customer takes a route to a particular destination or store. So all that can be analyzed in customer behavior. Imagine you are interested in an international fashion, and then you are actually standing in front of H&M for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It gives an insight. I might not know, because we are still not intruding, we are not getting into the privacy issues, but we have a faceless customer who is spending time in front of H&M or Muji. It's something which gives me an insight as to what this customer is potentially interested at, right? Digital signage is very, I mean, even though we call it digital, it's 100%, there are a lot of ways where we can actually explore and do much more than what it is currently being used for. Imagine you as a customer walk in, you buy a blazer, and then you're just wondering whether it suits you well or not. Imagine if that shows up in the digital signage with your own image there instantaneously. I mean, that's something gives you a quick kick that, okay, this is something better than, I mean, this is something, it's looking good, bad, ugly, or whatever. But then there is an immediate sense of gratification that, yes, this is what I wanted to know, and this can be done. And imagine if you link or contextualize with the pricing as well. The moment you add a pricing element that are 10% off only for today, for next 1 hour, for this blazer which you are wearing, imagine the kind of impact on the sales it is going to have. That's what is happening. That's what we are going to do. Yeah. This is something which we were trying to do, we have not done yet. We tried doing this, which is like, you start controlling, various resources or the parameters which are used in any shopping center. So with shopping center or a mall, it's just a replica or a smaller subset of a city. It has all those things. You have traffic issues, you have HVAC or chiller or AC or temperature coming into picture, you have emergency services, you have CCTV, public announcement, and so on and so forth. All these things are actually linked together by a system called building management system. But unfortunately, as things stand now, more often than not, they don't talk to each other. What it means is, if at all there is a fire somewhere in the center, would it trigger an alarm and create a PA automatically and a public announcement automatically? That's something is not being done. There is a manual layer, there is a manual intervention. In today's world, we can actually get rid of this. It is possible, and it is being thought through. This is something which can be easily done, and it creates and eliminates the layer of manual intervention. Imagine if it becomes it becomes a cost issue, because eventually when you're trying to do an IoT driven solution, and it doesn't add value because labor is still cheap. But imagine you don't need to do all of this for one center. If you have multiple shopping centers across the country, you can create a NOC which can actually manage the entire property in one shot by one person, right? And that one person is just to make sure that the systems don't fail. Actually, a person is not needed there, right? With the kind of analytics which is possible in today's world, we actually don't need a person, but the person is just to manage the systems which are running actually. That's pretty much about it. And that can also be triggered. We've talked about it, I think, in the beginning in multiple sessions, that asset management is something which is being worked upon with the help of IoT, and that's actually picking up, and that makes a lot of sense for us. Smart shelf is one of the things which probably, one of the gentlemen used in the morning. It's like someone who has been in the retail industry knows how important it is to have the shelf inventory actually filled properly. That's a perennial pain, and that can be actually answered with this. Parking, it's again a lifelong issue, whether it's a mall or a bus stand or an airport, it's everywhere same. This is something which we are trying to do with seamless entry and exit as well. A live case where the entire ordering system has been made online, can be the wrong word, but has been made online. So which means in a food court, you go in, even before you reach a level where the food court is, you're entering into the mall and you can actually select the cuisine, select the outlet and order on the fly. And that is reality. That's actually a real case. This itself, smart video analytics, again an extension of leveraging CCTV, which is again a thing, connected to a cloud or internet, and then put a layer of AI and ML and then translate into all sort of analytics. I would love to show you that video where we are actually generating some analytics which can include footfall analysis, like you have a gender-based classification which is possible. You can generate the heat map. You can actually get to know the emotions. And that's something which is very useful for we as a shopping center representations, because we would like to know whether people are happy being here or not. Age analysis, it gives you, so these are the things which, like it's the it helps in self-learning algorithm. Like we are not asking customers what demography or what classification they are falling into. We are building these analysis on our own so that we can plan and execute our campaigns and marketing strategies surrounding this. So let's look into things which are real, which is something which we have tried with one of the partners. So these were the actual live cases from our mall, which is in Whitefield, where we are trying to do all of these things. And we have been generating a lot of analytics based on these data elements. And again, there are actually faceless customers. We really do not store any information about the customers. Absolutely no. What we actually store is just a hash key of individual faces. We'll get to know people's repeat customers and usage as well without genuinely storing any sort of information. And mind it, we actually did not install any cameras there, no cameras installed. It is all based on the CCTV camera feeds which we have used, leveraged, pretty much the same sort of thing. So we have started getting these footfall analysis, gender analysis, emotion we didn't show you, but it has not been that great though in terms of success story. Age is pretty much okay, 70–80%. And the security, something which we showcased, like, if you are carrying a gun or you suddenly start, you roll down on or roll over on the floor, it'll trigger an alert. But you will find that the kids are doing this on their own, and which is something which we have to probably bypass it. And this is a continuous learning which we keep trying and improvising the system, right? All right, so while it looks fairly rosy, we have seen the kind of projections or predictions which have come across all through the day since morning, that 50 billion devices are going to be there. As things stand now, or by 2020, it's going to be 1:7. One person will be connected to average 7 devices by 2020, and by 2032, it will be around 3,000 to 5,000 devices each. Well, I somehow feel that it could create, it could be a potential danger. Even though I come from a pure IT background, probably we need to tighten our belt a bit and then make sure that we don't get into an era where we are simply helpless and clueless when with regards to kind of security and privacy issues. So it should not happen. We should still keep our individuality and individual human touch as it is. But the use case, the business case is extremely important whenever we try and propose it to my management in terms of what we should do and what kind of, so we don't say that let's implement C++ or let's implement Java or let's implement IoT. That's never discussed. What we see and what we talk is just the business problem and the solutions. The business problem is that we have not been able to get the consumer behavior analytics. That's the problem. The problem statement is not IoT, problem statement is not AI. And then you come and step back and then say, okay, now we can think of doing these things. If we were to do a thermal camera based solution, it would cost X. If we used an analytics AI engine like this, it would cost X, Y, but without changing the infrastructure underlying. And that's something which is what is important for us. And that's something which we try and avoid going forward. We've talked about very briefly that security and privacy issues would become paramount when the number of things actually go up. We need to be conscious of that. We have spoken about, a lot of guys have spoken about standardization missing in IoT, which creates problems for people like us, who keeps on trying multiple things, and you have solution from X and solution from Y and solution from Z and 3 different partners, and we find it difficult to integrate eventually. And then end result is that if you're not able to showcase it to the management that these are the things eventually translates into our dashboard, and if it's not showing up seamlessly, we have a trouble. And ROI, you remember we spoke about Intelligent Operations Center, IOC, or a centralized NOC. We were trying to do this around 4.5 years back when we had only 1 or 2 malls at that point in time. But the costs were simply prohibitive. We couldn't do even if we wanted to do. Things are improving and things are bound to improve going forward. And if it improves and there is a business value realization, I think there is a use case or there is a case where we should try and latch on to this new kid or not so new kid in the block, IoT. That's pretty much from my side, guys. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take it up. Okay. I guess so. It was a dreadful session. Thank you very much. Okay, there is some question. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Chirag. I'm from RGO.
Hi.
Chirag, I just wanted to know what is the piece of work you did with RFIDs and inventory management? Did it work? What was the extent?
So I take your question, I think not for my current organization, but I come from a similar background. I've worked with IOT Retail, and we were trying to do a lot of things, and I must tell you that, again, the costs were exponentially high at that point in time. I'm talking about just 5-6 years back. I was into the grocery division, and the number of SKUs or the volumes, you come from similar background, you will understand what I'm talking about. Costs were simply prohibitive. And we were struggling. I can't quote the numbers, but I must tell you that our shrinkage were very, very high, probably 6 times than the industry standard, since you probably would know about the industry standard. 6 times high, imagine. And we couldn't do all of these things. It was, I mean, the cost of shrinkage or cost of solution should not be more than the problem, right? I mean, that was the situation where we were in. And then we, obviously, you keep brainstorming, keep trying things, and then we realized that there are alternate ways. We did benchmarking with Walmart and Future Group in those days, and we realized that there is some checking based or weight based checking and all. We introduced a lot of those things, and then we brought it down to industry level standards. But at that point in time, it was tough. But I must tell you, as we talk, even in malls like ours, we started with a magnetic strip card-based cards, but then gradually we have moved to NFC cards now in the current mall which we have launched in Chennai. So I think the costs are becoming, and cost skewness is coming down and in our favor. I think we have to keep following and keep chasing the partner ecosystem to bring it down with the volumes and evolve and bring. I mean, we need to generate and move forward in terms of solutioning, because just because of the cost, if we are not able to solve a problem, the scalability issues doesn't get solved. So I think this is something which we definitely look into it from a solutioning perspective. But again, RFID is not something which we don't talk about IoT, we don't talk about AI, we talk about shrinkage, and let's start solving the problems. And then it's up to us which technology is actually going to solve the problems. Yeah? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, one more. Who's there?
Hi, I'm glad that you covered the threat part of it, because that was my concern all along. And I still have a question maybe to all the IoT experts. See, a lot of these things, like your facial analysis, it's quite impossible. I also come from a neuro background, consumer neuroscience background, so I'm aware that it is, if you have a sustained expression for a longer period of time, that is when you can actually code facial expression. These are all getting very abused. So it's very important. And the second question on consumer, like if you were to talk about, what is scary is you are measuring what I don't know that I'm expressing. See, now it is, see, if you ask me saying, what can I share? I might say, okay, I'm okay with age, I'm okay with ABC, whatever. But I don't know what you're measuring, because I don't know that I'm knowing that. So this becomes, see, sometimes it's so easy to put the blame on the policymaker saying, oh, this policy is not there. I think all the IoT providers should be cognizant of measuring what I don't know that you're measuring. I don't know, I'm expressing this about myself. I think that is one area to leverage something I'm not even aware of, and using that to market is absolutely unethical in subsequent years.
Sure,
so today in India.
I'll answer if you're done with your two questions. First question with regards to the efficacy or accuracy of facial recognition. I think I told probably during the course of the presentation that the emotions cannot be judged easily. I mean, you probably are expert, you probably will know much more than me. But we realized that if the distance, based on the distance, even the expressions measurement becomes a little challenging for us. So we realized that it is of no great it is of no great sense. But what we were trying to do is, like, when you come out with a shopping bag, whether it's you're smiling, not smiling, is something which we're trying to figure out. So it doesn't make great sense. It just gives an indication that, okay, probably you're happy shopping about this place or around this particular place. That's one. To answer question on privacy, I think this is something which we have delved a lot into it. And I again emphasize here, for us, our customer is faceless. completely faceless. So we do not just this, we have a Wi-Fi based analytics as well, which means customer's journey is completely tracked, which is fine. But you know what? We do not have a face to the customer. For us, it is just a number. Okay, this is the hash key or this is the key, and this key has traveled this path. We cannot use your data because we do not have your data. We do not store your data. And privacy laws, I mean, there are two laws which came in 2017. It is something which we again looked into it because we were conscious about the fact that we do not want to get into a place where it bothers people, it bothers us as well. So it's fairly clearly says that as long as you are communicating that, and you would have seen the notice board everywhere that this place is under surveillance, right? The unfortunate part of the current rule which is applicable, it says that, okay, as long as the surveillance is there, you are recording the recording, and that's pretty much about it. What you're doing with the recording, it's actually getting stored in a storage area network. That's pretty much about your NAS. There's nothing else we are doing. However, that's more dangerous because the data is sitting there for 30 days, and if there is a breach, then there's a risk on me because I'm letting that information go out from my system. However, this is much safer because I am not at all doing anything. This is the same camera feed. What it does is, it just creates the mathematical expressions and stores that information. So if you're coming again and again, it is just a faceless number for us which just gets captured. It is much more, in terms of security or privacy, I think CCTV storage is much more problematic because you actually store the image of a person who's actually walking and driving in, which is mandatory as per the law. We have to keep a 30 days of data, right? Of course, we need to keep a tab of the storage which is there. It should not be exposed and it cannot be given to anyone and everyone, even within our organization. That's taken care. But this is much safer. I think it's just faceless. It is just generic customer diversity or demography is what we are trying to get. And this is something which costs us a lot, by the way. In one of the malls where we have put those thermal cameras and all, it costs us a bomb. And out here, we're not doing much because we are just latching onto the CCTV feeds and then generating the analysis. It's all about analysis. There's nothing else to it. If in case you subscribe to our loyalty program, if you subscribe and come to our hotel, or you come to our food court, even then we can't compare these information. And that's something which we are very particular about it because this is sensitive information. If we start pairing it, and if I know that your face, you are the one who's coming and talking, then it's a problem for us because that could be infringement and that can work only with subscription, which means you have given an authorization that we can do it and then we can do it. But this is fairly generic. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, thank you.